for everyone in person and online. We're just waiting for one more member. Larissa, can you hear us online?
I can.
A lot of computers out there, huh?
Please feel free to resume your conversation too.
Like quiet, it's so quiet. Working group and Tuesday during the open house to make sure that they got some very attention to party air conditioning. Make sure that this place. Getting everything to shut off. And I have a reminder of Monday morning. Sunday morning. Sure, you're the only one here.
Yeah, I know.
Gotta tell us your secret.
I work from home and I live close.
There you go.
All right, I live close. Yeah, makes it pretty easy to make it.
Well, I think 15 minutes from Sparks, you know, the first night of the football.
Yeah. No, I heard it coming up pretty hard right now. So when something's still going, something overturned, my girlfriend got stuck on the rodeo.
So I drove home there was a car. Our shop was obliterated there.
I'm gonna give some of our members some. So awesome. Kelsey is just pulling in, so we can start.
Some good news, we're gonna, for the, yeah, what's the biggest storyline today? There's no left, so the whole wall is empty. It's not very Tuesday. Yeah. Nice. Sure. So, I guess my tell me something if I'm firing the issue. Yeah. So I think it's put over there. Which one? Like, there's like red and white. Oh no, all the co-fires left. They got reason up there as well. Well, maybe this day off. Or is he playing? It's like one of them. Well, it could be. Sure. I was looking out. I said that spot right there. Two red and white ones down where there are. Okay. There's that, it's fine for the season two. He's waiting for that. Okay, he was pharmacist, but they enjoy it. Yes. Forces fix that.
There you go.
Yeah, here in the morning. Well, means the home.
Ready to get going? We will have to pick a presiding officer out of one or two of you, but if you need my help, it's totally. It's just for having sake, I guess.
Nope.
Okay, shoot. Don't worry. I'll
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, fire support.
Larissa and Councilmember Ebert, you're hearing us online. We are going to get started. It is 6:04 p.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. Kelsey Meadow. Here. Trenton Kelly.
Here.
Marissa Buny.
Here.
Ben Johnson will be absent tonight, and then Kelly or may be late. Councilmember Ebert, we have to plan.
Here.
We have a quorum. Answering board. We are going to move on to public comment. Comments heard for this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters with on and off the NAB's agenda. The NAB may not take action upon any matter not agendized on today's agenda. When you're called on for public comment, please state your name for the record and begin speaking. If you are attending the Zoom meeting and would like to make public comment, please raise your hand at this time. I do not have any comment cards in front of me. Does anyone wish to make public comment? Okay. Seeing none, we can move on. We're just going to select a presiding officer for this meeting. Can I get a motion? My motion for myself. Go for it, yeah. Okay, do I have a second?
Frank Kelly, second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. If you want, Kelsey, I'll just move through it. Is that for you? Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to be.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to item 8.3, approval of the agenda. That is for tonight's meeting, June 18th, 2026. Do we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Frank Kelly, motion approved.
Take a second.
Kelsey Meadow, second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously. We're gonna move on to item 8.4, approval of minutes. These are from April 16th, 2026. Can I get a motion to approve?
Frank Kelly, motion to approve.
Perfect.
Kelsey Meadow, second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. All right, motion carries unanimously. We are going to move on to item 8.5, the council liaison report. Councilmember Ebert, do you want to give it online or would you like to come back to this item?
I'll be there shortly if we can come back.
Absolutely. We will come back.
Great.
So we'll move on to item 8.6, which is the staff liaison report. No training or slides today. I have a couple things to show you, but first, we've got one development project on the agenda today. If you can get those sent in to me by Wednesday morning, so I can get those routed to planning. I'm going to share some resources. First is the RTC's Military Road Project Hotline. If you have any inquiries or construction related service requests, you can contact the project lead at that phone number and that email. This has been added to the meeting record online. So if you go to Reno.gov/meetings, find this Ward 4 NAB meeting, open the HTML agenda and click on the staff liaison report item. You'll see a little paperclip, and this slide will be there if you're looking for that information. One other little helpful announcement. One. The city of Reno is looking for feedback on its strategic plan before it is adopted later this year. So you can scan the QR code, go to the website, take a look through the proposed strategic plan and give your feedback. This is online in the same place that the RTC Military Road Project is. Generally, other meeting information, the next planning commission meeting will be on Wednesday, July 1st. The next Ward 4 NAP is scheduled for Thursday, July 16th. And the next city council meeting is scheduled for July 22nd. But that is all of the information I have for you tonight. Again, these resources are online on the HTML agenda at Reno.gov/meetings. That's all I have for you tonight. So I believe we can move into our first item for the evening, which is the development project review item B1. LPC 26-00020, the Gluon Trucking Storage Yard. Do we have the applicant here for this project? Are you the applicant, sir? Are you the applicant for the development project?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I was for the P1P roads.
Not for the trucking storage yard?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I have your information that you sent in, if you'd like to go up and just tell us about it a little bit.
My English not too good, so
Okay.
I can
Do
still.
your best. I'm just gonna share your information here. Let's stand on the podium. 1 second.
Good evening, everyone.
Can you state your name for the record?
Kuldeep Guman,
Thank you.
and I'm here in Reno since 1998, and serving the community. I'm started for one trucks and driving the trucks, and now I build slowly my business, and I got like almost 22 trucks, and that's almost 26 years to build up. So I just bought it, the yard of the P1P road. So I just want to park my trucks and, going for the beans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will move into questions from the board. If the board has any questions in person or online.
Yeah, I just have, just some general questions. Are you planning on like actually developing the whole area or just using the lot itself for parking your trucks?
It's just for parking the truck.
So no real development or anything like that, just for storage?
No.
pretty much general?
My engineer is not here. He's run away.
For sure.
So I don't know about yet full information here.
Kelsey Meno for the record, and it's for 22 trucks,
Yeah, 22 trucks right now.
and it's just parking.
Yeah, parking.
Would there be a lot of traffic that it's gonna cause?
No, not really, because we just hauling California to Utah and going to Denver, Colorado, Midwest. So we're gonna drop off the trailer, pick up another trailer, go like that.
Okay. And would you be utilizing the entire 5-acre site?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, for all 22 trucks?
Yes.
Okay.
Larissa, online, do you have any questions?
Yeah, Larissa Beaning for the record. I just have one question. It's probably in here somewhere. Where's this located? Where's the land?
1000 P Wine Road.
Okay, I can look that up. Okay. Thank you.
For the record, Kelly Orr is here, 6:13 p.m. Yeah, so we're in the development item right now. So which is in the question portion now, so.
We can cover for the record again. You said you're using up all 5 acres, or are you gonna have your 23 trucks there and then along with trailers at the same time, or is it just strictly for keeping your trucks?
No, it's actually sometimes we park the trailers and drivers drop the trailer, take the another loads, go and come back, So it's like basically hauling the loads and drop off trailer, pick up another trailer,
Got it.
and take empty, go to,
So it's not like long-term storage of these trailers, it's pretty much drop off, pick up and kind of cycle
yes.
through?
Yes.
Okay.
But sometimes we have like maybe the dry load or something like warehouses does. So it's a truck, the parking, the trailer is parking there.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
And apologies, Kelsey Meno for the record. Is there any kind of development that needs to happen on it? To make it, usable for your trucks or safe for your trucks? Is there any kind of like construction that's gonna happen to it? Or are you just parking it on the land that you have right now?
I'm not parking right now because it's empty. Or when city allow me, then we can park in.
Good. Well, is your intent, do you intend to do that? Do you hope to make those changes to it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
Because I can't park on the streets. That's a lot
Yeah.
of place.
Any other questions for this item?
I have none. Does anyone else have any? Larissa, do you have any more questions?
No, I don't think I have any at the moment. Thanks.
Public comment?
Any public comment on this item? Anyone online, just raise your hand. Hey, Councilmember, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Guys.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Okay. With that, we can move on to our business items. Which one is C1, Doris McElinden, Mayor's Park Phase Park Improvement, presentation for the Parks and Recreation. Yeah. Something else. Yeah, then you can use them.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good evening. For the record, my name is CA. I am, can you hear me okay? Sorry, I hear weird buzzing. I'm a park planner and project manager with the city's Parks and Recreation Department, and I'm here to talk to you about Mayor's and McElinden Parks. So these parks are located at Northstead Boulevard off of Norton Drive. They are technically 2 separate parks, but they're on the same parcel, and it's very difficult to tell where one ends and the other begins. So for the purposes of this project, we kind of consider them one. Together, they make up about 84 acres. And for this project, for this phase of this project, we have $1.6 million available out of our residential construction tax fund.
It's not much.
I don't know what that noise is. Should I be speaking into it or?
We'll just turn it off. I think we can.
Great, okay. All right, so
It's just.
thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so some of you might be familiar with a master plan that we did for these parks back in 2019. Basically, what a master plan is, it's a planning document that's informed by public input. So for this master plan that we did a number of community surveys and public workshops to kind of reimagine what the parks would look like and kind of thoughtfully plan what features would go into this park. The reason we did that, we do this for kind of key parks in the area because as I'm sure that you're all aware, Ward 4 doesn't have a lot of parks. And this being one of the largest parks, we wanted to make sure that it was thoughtfully planned out. So thankfully, since its adoption in 2019, we have made some progress as far as implementing the park. Phase one wasn't very exciting. We were able to add some access roads and parking areas for the fields. For phase two, we did some rough grading for the fields and then converted those parking lots, which were originally just decomposed granite, into asphalt parking lots. And then we also installed the restrooms. Phase three was a lot more exciting. This was the installation of that beautiful playground that was airport themed and ADA accessible. So a lot more excitement around phase three, as well as the new lighted fields. And that brings us to phase four. So like I said, the master plan that was adopted back in 2019. So we recognize that a little bit of that feedback might be outdated. So we did do a bit of an effort to do a little bit more public input with a new survey that we launched. We put out this bilingual community survey available in English and Spanish. We put it on our social media pages on both the parks Facebook page and the City of Reno Facebook pages and Instagram. And then we put it on our website, Reno.gov/engage. And then we made posters and posted them on site at the parks. The original intended duration for this survey was a month. But unfortunately, we weren't seeing really any engagement for the survey. So we decided to extend it an additional month, do another push. But unfortunately, we still only saw about 27 responses. And unfortunately, that isn't atypical for a lot of our park surveys. We really don't see a lot of engagement with those. So I still wanted to share those results with you. We did get some helpful information still. So of those 27 responses, we did still get some good information. So for example, we learned almost everybody that goes to the park drives there. Most people come with their families, with their friends. And then these are some questions I wanted to highlight for you. But again, taking this information with a grain of salt, knowing that this isn't like statistically valid feedback, but also knowing that we do have the master plan in place that was informed by a lot of community input. So, okay, so those questions were, what park amenities do you use most at Dorothy McAlinden? So the playground, ball field, and restroom were the highest use, but overwhelmingly the walking paths that was the highest response. And some good news on that front is that we already have a project approved and funded to redo and reconstruct the asphalt path at Dorothy McAlinden, and that's set to start construction next month. So happy that that's a priority for these survey respondents. And then question 7 was, which of the following improvements would you be most interested in? The options that were available here were the ones that were featured in the master plan. But in addition to these, we also had a write-in response where people could write whatever they wanted. So dog park got 9 responses, outdoor fitness court 6, more walking paths got 14. That is being addressed as part of the project that we have starting in July. Upgraded picnic shelter had 7. Basketball and multi-use courts. This captures pickleball also. So in this portion of the survey, it got 6 responses. But it also had additional writing responses that contributed to that. And then we also had a bike skills course / pump track. That's got 3 responses, added lighting, 6, shade. So shade and walking paths, those were the highest responses for this question. And then additional benches and tables got 9. So again, taking this with a grain of salt. Because we didn't get a lot of feedback on this, we were hoping to get your feedback today. And then we did meet on site with our team, and we kind of put together just an initial scope of what we thought might be good for phase 4 of this project. And that's what we're looking to get your feedback on today. So number 1, primarily as far as our ranking, we thought what would be good, something that hasn't been implemented, that's part of the master plan, that we think would be good now, would be a basketball court, and a pickleball court, and some shade for those users. There's an area that's adjacent to the grassy field that's next to the playground. And well, between the two fields, it's just a bunch of vegetation and sagebrush. We would clear that area, and we think that both courts would fit in that location, and we could install shade there. And then our other idea was also to install a splash pad south of where the existing playground is. We could expand the safety surface footprint to the south and add just like a water feature there. There is a restroom nearby, so we feel that the water connection could be relatively straightforward. We think it could fit in the budget, but again, we need to prioritize this so that, given what the budget is, so that we can fund things according to our priorities. And then finally, we wanted to add a pump track, which for those that don't know, a pump track is kind of like natural terrain features that make use the dirt to for mountain bikes to create hills for kids to play on. And we wanted to install it in that area there, kind of where the orange is, of course, not interfering with any of the disc golf components. So that's what we're thinking these funds could cover for this scope. And I am looking forward to hearing your thoughts and your feedback. So with that, I'm turning it over to you. Oh, and my information is here. So if you have any thoughts that come up after the fact, please reach out to me. Thank you.
Kelly, you are for the record. Thank you for being here. Thank you for, looking for our input, because boy, am I excited about that. I would love to see more of a usability. Like, I like that basketball is an idea. I think that'll be great. Also, like a roller skating track, kind of City of Reno had a downtown area where people can skateboard, roller skate, scooter, more uses for wheeling devices, like than just a skateboard, like what we have already at the regional park. But as a huge roller derby player, anywhere you can put me on roller skates, I'm happy to go there. But I think shade in our area is such a big need, because we don't have a big tree canopy. So I wonder in the budget if we could have, is that something that's in there already, is trees? Do we have?
So it's not part of this project, but there is a different initiative in parks with our urban forestry team. They're looking to create like an urban forest, kind of where near the pump track. There is going to be, I'm not exactly sure about the details, but they are doing like a tree planting initiative to try to pump up the canopy there. And then something I think I forgot to mention, as far as like why we prioritize the basketball and pickleball court, the reason that was our highest priority is because there isn't any availability of that amenity at all in Ward 4. The closest one I checked today is at Dick Taylor Park. So you have to drive all the way down to Reno to even find that feature. So that's why it's our number one ranked.
Yeah, Kelly, or for the record, I'd say you have it within the HOA, within Sky Vista, there's a basketball park. And then within the school districts, there's basketball park. But then those are not always usable to everybody. So that would be, I think, something the community would love to have. The more activities for the kids to do, seniors, I would love to see kind of my brain's going to like Sparks. They have the different accessibility playgrounds for
At the marina.
yes, or not just the marina, but like in further back, Sparks Boulevard, way in the back, over by Vista. There's that big old park over there. It has like the ropes and multi-use things. Gosh, I'll email you. So I apologize for taking up everybody's time for that idea. Just more usability for our community. Is there something there for seniors to do and walk around, like the walking trails? Is there something for the little kids, special needs? Are that, if there are things for teenagers to do, just adults, that like to roller skate.
I understand. Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Trent Kelly for the record. So pickleball, I'll play pickleball, so I'm all 100% for that. The one thing I would say with pickleball is just making sure there's shade around it and also finding some way to protect it from the wind that we get up here. Because in Reno, when you're playing when it's windy, it's virtually not even a game anymore. So anything that can help protect that. My only other thought too is just giving some love to the disc golf course. I play there around a regular basis. It just needs just a little bit of love and just better markers and transitions from hole to hole. Just because for people coming out there for the first time, you get out there and you're like, I have no idea where I'm going next. So nothing over the top for that. Just just a little attention to that because I think it gets a lot of traffic through that course as well. So, and then yeah, maximizing shade. I mean, the more shade the better because there's virtually none out there unless you're really at the park. So.
Thank you.
Kelsey Meno for the record. So would you guys be redoing the mayor's parking lot, like the asphalt on it?
That wouldn't be part of this phase. It's not in our scope for now. I think it was part of phase 2. I think it was,
Yeah,
it might not have been
but
entirely
I
successful.
soon after it was paved, somebody went in and did donuts, and it is pretty difficult. Like it's really bumpy, and so it might need to be checked on again,
Okay.
or and done some reinforced with something a little bit stronger. And then I saw that dog park was really popular. There isn't one that's very accessible in the area. There's one that is over by the North Valleys Park, but that is you can't even park at it. And so it's really difficult to get to. And so Pump Track only had 3 people, and so I was just wondering why that was overlooked.
That's something we definitely could reprioritize, put it above the pump track. We could consider putting in a dog park.
Because I know that people use those baseball fields a lot. And
Yeah,
that can be an issue.
that
Like
was the
soccer
discussion.
fields and stuff like that, and it doesn't make it very useful for the people who want to play on those.
The discussion around that was that the fields seem to be well used, and to make a dog park, we would have to like limit or restrict access to them in some way. So, or like take away part of the fields by fencing them off. So I don't know. I think that's why it was undesirable. But again, like if that's something that's a priority, we could definitely add it to.
I mean, I'm just one person in Ward 4 and I have dogs.
Yeah.
But I also see that there's so many people who, they have kids and they play on the fields and stuff, but it would just be nice to have something that's a little bit closer, that's more usable. But if it's not usable, if it's not feasible for this project, maybe something else in the future. It's just something that I really would like to advocate for.
Thank you.
Larissa is online with her hand raised.
Hi, Larissa Beaning for the record. First of all, I love that you came out to talk to us about this, and I love the project, so thank you. To piggyback off of Kelsey a little bit, I also was going to ask about the dog park, but that all makes sense. I don't even know if there's like a small area somewhere that's still not really being used for anything, or we could even like fence an area off that could be, and it doesn't have to be anything major, but like a simple like big dog run area, just even nothing huge. As for the splash pad, I really like that idea up there too, because yes, we have the one that you pay for at the regional park, and that's nice and love it, and we use it. But like last summer, I think 3 out of the 5 times I tried to take my kids, it was already full and like they were turning everybody away. So while it's present and great, it still doesn't really, it's just not big enough, I think, when it's hot out for like the amount of people we have up here. So I really like that idea, especially since there's no pools up here really otherwise. And then one final just kind of remark, the adaptive equipment. There's a couple pieces of equipment, if I'm not mistaken, at this park already. Like I think there's one of the big like spinning that you can put like a wheelchair in with kids and like they can spin on it. But I think that's about it if I recall. So like one or two other pieces of adaptive equipment for those kids with disabilities or adults with disabilities might be nice to just kind of consider if it's in the budget. But otherwise, I really love the whole project. Thank you so much.
Larissa. I have a, Councilman, for the record, I have a question about the splash pad. Would that be like the one at the North Valley Park, or would that be like, I believe there's one at Dick Taylor Park where it's free, it's just open, it's not fenced off?
Yeah,
Or,
it would, I incorporate with the playground, it would just be open.
okay.
Yeah, it wouldn't be, yeah, there'd be no
Like
charge.
fenced off one.
Yeah.
And then in regard to the walking paths, are you going to just say go over the walking paths that already exist?
So the walking path project, it's basically gonna go around this field here. And then they are going to extend a little bit beyond what's already existing. They're going to connect to the sidewalks here. I can't really, they extend this way and connect there. But yeah, they are expanding a little bit on what's there. But for the most part, it follows the path that is existing. But it will be just like kind of surrounding this large field here.
Because I think that one already has a walking path, doesn't it?
Yes, it's just in really deteriorated condition.
Oh, gotcha.
In some locations, it's like a foot wide and like,
Okay,
yeah, so
great.
we're just redoing it, making sure it's
Okay.
accessible.
Awesome, thank you.
Mhm.
Everything I have is. There any comments on this? You got any more comments, questions?
We have Rebecca online. I'm gonna let me talk. Okay, Rebecca, when you're ready, just unmute your mic, say your name for the record. You have 3 minutes.
Hey, thank you. My name is Rebecca Flannery. I'm not quite sure how big how big is this area that you have for this park?
So both parks together are, what was it, 45 acres?
City.
84 acres, sorry.
Is that where all those little like those little pathways are back there? Is that kind of like the end of it? So you have like that massive amount of space in there?
Yeah, so it's Stead Boulevard to the west. Stead Boulevard to the west, and then Norton Drive is the south part of it. So
Okay.
it's like the entire there's 2 parcels technically, but it's the whole area.
That whole area. Okay, so I love the splash pad. That's amazing. I love that you want to put all this basketball courts and all that. I'm kind of wondering though, like one thing the North Valleys is lacking is a community center. I'm sure that's 100% out of the budget right now, but is that something that is planned maybe for the future?
Yes, so for these funds, definitely it was under not in the budget, but the funds that we have approved for this project, they're restricted in use. We can't use them for maintenance and we can't use them to build community centers with. So that's why it wasn't considered for this project, but I think it is something that we're definitely interested in for the North Valleys. But yeah, it's just something we don't have funding for at the moment.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Anyone else in person?
Yes, Jared Southern for the record. I just heard you say that the funds were not used for community center. What was the other part you said?
For maintenance.
Yeah, that's okay. $1.6 million on slide 1. Is that just for this phase of the project?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And again, you were revisiting the plans that were done in 2019 as far as the park community master plan. In the years that I've been here in the North Valleys, many people have asked for why don't we have an indoor outdoor pool? Does that fit into this master plan?
Yeah, it is. The pool was actually something that was identified in the master plan, but again, it's not something that we're able to fund with this residential construction tax. The last pool that we built was Moana Pool. I think it cost $58 million, and it was the first pool we built in 70 years. So they're expensive to build. and funding opportunities are very, very sparse. So it's something that's difficult to find funding for, but really something that we're interested in doing. Definitely a community need there, but yeah, unfortunately, at this time, we don't have any funding identified for a community center out here.
One small add to that is that, and many times that I've had a chance to speak, I would say as we allow new businesses to come to North Valleys, whether it be the Amazons or other people in the world, why isn't there private partnership and requirements for them to help us fund what we really need in North Valleys?
That's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to be on it? We do have. You're online. Any further questions? Anyone? Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Alright, we will move on to item 18, we're gonna say master plan updates.
Good afternoon, everyone, in the room and also online. My name is Jed Hammer. I'm an airport planner with the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. Thank you, first and foremost, for having us up here today. In addition to myself, I'm also going to really quickly look over at the Stead Airport Manager, Scott Gordon, as well as the RTA Planning and Environmental Services Manager, Alyssa Butterfield. We're here, the three of us, hopefully can answer any and all questions that come up tonight, but I'll just go ahead and get started. We were here in, I believe, January in front of your board, but there was unfortunately not a lot of time to answer most questions. So again, thank you for having us back, and we're excited to tell you about our project. Maybe. Is it this one?
Yeah, it just needs me to click in it once. It should
Okay.
be good.
Where am I pointing?
You're pointing, you should be able to just point anywhere.
Okay.
You can try it.
Okay. Well,
Sometimes it just needs me to, there you go.
got it. Thank you. All right. First and foremost, the Airport Authority has partnered with a consultant group called Ardura. Facts and figures up here. They have completed over 150 projects at 43 different airports just in the last 3 years. The team from Ardura is also supported by over 10 subconsultants, and 5 of those are DBE firms registered in Nevada. They have a lot of experience with GA airports, which are in more rural communities, similar to Stead. And we really like them for their stakeholder engagement. And I'll be getting into the next couple days and weeks concerning that. I feel lucky that Karina was here to kind of kick off what a master plan is. Our master plan process at the airport very much rotates around the FAA. We are guided by FAA advisory circulars, and as you can see on the left, the 8 components in order that we must adhere to for a master plan. On the right, we've also added some components that we'll be looking at during the process. And I do want to point out items on the left, items 2 and 8, which need to be approved by the FAA. And those are both the aviation forecast, which I'll get into, as well as the what we call an airport layout plan, or ALP. We are here in the process. It's a 2-year process, 24-month process. We're about 8 months in. And I mentioned the aviation forecast, and that's also known as what demand do we expect. We have completed the draft on that and sent it to the FAA for their approval. and we are waiting for them to get back to us on that. But we also, as you can see, and what I'll get into, have the inventory, what we looked at during the process of basically everything that we have on the airport itself. So the big numbers are 5,100 acres, 2 paved runways, 1 dirt runway. Annual operations are every aircraft operation that arrives and departs, touches and goes. And then also to point out, the airport is an FAA UAS test site. Continuing with the inventory, we have about 36 acres of pavement out there for the apron. 113 tie downs, 148 hangars, and a little over 200 based aircraft. I've included up there on the top right the grid there for T hangars, small box, medium box, and large box hangars. The majority of are small box. All right, continuing on with the inventory. Our major tenants are Aviation Classics, which are a fixed-based operator. They're the FBO over here that kind of maintain and generally take care of aircraft out here, general aviation aircraft. We also have the Army National Guard, TAC Air, what's now known since January as the U.S. Wildland Fire Service, aka BLM, Washington County Sheriff's Office, and then of course Dermody Properties has a presence up here as well. 1,400 plus jobs are supported by the airport in northern Nevada, almost $200 million in economic output, and noteworthy, over $100 million in the last 15 years have been invested at the airport itself. I mentioned Dermody. We are looking at planned developments. So on the left there in orange, going from north to south, are right of first offer spaces, auction areas, phase 2 and phase 1 of their developments. Moving over to what we call the O block, the blue section. There are hangars currently being developed there. And then some of you may or may not have heard, TMCC is partnering with the Gilmont Foundation for the possibility of an education slash partnership with Gilmont and TMCC for aviation and aerospace. All right. Moving on from the inventory, I'm going to go over really quickly the forecasts. On the left is based aircraft, and we're at that dashed line vertical at we're a little before at 2026. Right now there's 218 based aircraft, and based on the forecast, we're looking at an additional 33 in the forecast to be based. Moving over to the right, as far as operations, I mentioned around 55,000 operations, and that in the forecast is foreseen to go up by around 17,000 to around 72,000. So working with the FAA, critical aircraft basically are aircraft that use the airport the most, and what we need to build infrastructure to accommodate. There's a grid that the FAA uses, and in airport planning we use for aircraft approach categories and then also aircraft design groups. It's basically speed and size of the aircraft. So based on the majority of firefighting, efforts, we're looking at C3 categories, and with DC-10 and MD-87s being part of that group. We also did want to mention the Federal Contract Tower Program. I'm sure most of you noticed that there's a tower on the airfield now. We are looking to enhance that component of the airfield by working with the FAA to possibly get funding for a partially manned and operated tower. That is not a permanently manned tower up there. I think they only used it for the air races, so there's not a permanent presence in there. So this contract tower would bring in on a part-time basis FAA trained operators to work with the various operations at the airport. So that would be drones we're looking at, fire services, helicopters you can hear and see. There's a lot of the F4, F5s that fly. There's a lot of different operations and complex operations at the airport that they're looking to be safer because of. I want to get into the public engagement outreach. So as you can see, we have the QR code up there, but we've set up a microsite called rtsmasterplan.com. And we highly encourage anyone and everyone to visit the site. There are several provide input and get involved sections of the airport that we invite you to look at and see. We've hosted 3 master plan working groups for invitees of the several jurisdictions and stakeholders around at the airport. We also I mentioned Scott, he's up here full time, but we also every Wednesday have office hours from approximately 9 to 4 for anyone to come in and ask questions, provide input, feedback, that kind of thing. We're here to listen and speak to you about that. Public meetings tonight. We've had several other RTA public meetings, and we continue to. I'll get into a community pop-up that we're planning on. We've also interviewed the majority of tenants and users at the airport to get their feedback on various components of the master plan. And then also we're going to be working with NDOT and FAA, obviously, throughout the process. All right, so tonight, obviously, we're at the Ward 4 NAB. On Tuesday, we are having a master plan open public house in the terminal here. Doors open at 5:30. There's a presentation at 6, and we'll be around until 8 to answer questions with our consultant partners at Ardura. Again, another opportunity for folks to come in and provide input and feedback and ask questions. And then we also want to mention next Thursday, we're scheduled to be at a booth up at the North Valley's food truck pop-up. So hope to see a lot of you there. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to the North Valley's food truck pop-up, so should be fun. All right. Are there any questions? And is there anything I can go over in more detail?
Elsie Minow for the record. The federal contract tower program, are they also providing learning opportunities for that TMCC program? Do I have an understanding of what the contract tower program is?
Yeah, let me try and differentiate the two.
Okay.
So the Gilmont Foundation is funding is trying to fund a facility for future aerospace and educational opportunities, right? So if that goes forward, in addition to all the other operations that are happening out here, I mentioned everywhere from F5s to drones to GA pilots. The federal contract tower program is a safety component. The FAA will be hopefully working with us if we are successful in the program to either most likely build a new tower in one of several areas around the airport that we are going to be analyzing. And I'm saying that because they kind of go hand in hand, right? If Gilmont comes, they'll be added to the users of the airport. If there's a contract tower manned by operators, the whole airfield will be that much safer. Does that answer it? Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Other than that, that's.
Marissa, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
You can move to the public. Rebecca, when you're ready, let me go back and see your name for the record.
Hi, Rebecca Flannery for the record. So I'm born and raised out here, so having the air races every year, that one section of time, you knew the planes were going to be there. There's rumors that, like, FedEx or UPS or something could come out here. Are we going to have like a constant like plane traffic? I mean, we're used to it because, the little planes would always fly around, and that's great. And I don't mind that. But are we going to be having, like, is this going to be an extension of Reno Tahoe to take on all this extra air traffic that might eventually be disruptive to us out here? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rebecca, for the question. I appreciate it. I want to also differentiate what the airport authority has jurisdiction over as far as the airports. We're at STED, which is called a general aviation reliever airport, which means this airport does not have commercial service.
Thank you, God.
I know downtown does have commercial service and cargo, and the runways and taxiways are built and designed accordingly for those uses. So we do have a lot of questions that come in on cargo or that kind of traffic that's operating. Within the master plan effort, we are scoped for an analysis of cargo, but that means that we're going to be looking at the benefit cost analysis and the actual cost of the possibility, which is very small, of bringing cargo out here. In my notes here, I'm going to refer to, I already talked about strengthened runways and taxiways that right now will not accommodate any kind of cargo plane, 24/7 snow removal, and then any other operational requirements in addition to that. So these costs would be very high, and any kind of BC would need to be analyzed, but that's kind of where we're at with that. I hope that answered your question. Is there anything else there that I did not refer to?
No, I think I'm just basically trying to like make sure that it's not becoming like a commercial airport. I love that it's bringing TMCC. I love that, our firefighters get to use that. I love it being like a support facility for the community, but I think a lot of us are concerned that it's going to turn into some transportation hub for large, corporations with their giant planes. And so stuff like that, I think, is just kind of where I think the community might be a little concerned. Like, we need some high paying jobs out here. We need all that stuff, and we need the education. And I love that. So I just wanted to like clarify that we're not going to be some extension hub of Reno Tahoe and taking all the extras, you know what I mean? So if that makes sense. Thank you so much.
I was trying to get back to my slide on the annual operations, but I did mention that STED, there are around 50 to 55,000 annual operations. I'm going to look over at Scott or Alyssa, R&O wise, what are we looking at for operations at R&O? I'm putting them on the spot. They're going to make something of what fact and figure we do have though for R&O is there's almost 5 million passengers a year at R&O, but I hopefully made the point that there are two separate and different types of airports between R&O and RTS.
I have a question real quick, just not to interrupt. Kelly Orr for the record. My question is, out in Gardnerville, Minden, they do glider plane lessons. Is that something that doesn't make sense here, or is something that's been brought to the table for gliders to access this airport?
We've had some glider operations and they do randomly occur, but it's not a regular thing. 6 or 7 years ago, there was a group that came and tried to do some glider stuff, and it just didn't really work. Minden's the big glider area and they're already set up for all that. They have much more support down there to make it work more efficiently. We typically just get them if the wind goes sideways on them and it doesn't work for them, they come and do an emergency landing here, that type of thing. There are a couple of powered gliders that operate out of Stead, but as far as the soaring groups and that kind of thing, there's a little bit too much traffic here for them.
Thank you.
Catherine Yarche, for the record, you may not be able to answer this, but is there anything on the horizon of what's gonna happen with the property that's owned by Germany? What the plan is for those spaces?
Yeah, listen, you
Let
want
me clarify. Germany owns property off airport and I have no idea what they're gonna do with that property.
Okay.
Yeah, all they own here, it's a ground lease with us. So they own the physical buildings as they construct them, but they don't own the land. We're retaining ownership, but I can't help them with off airport.
That's why I wanted to. Thank you.
All right, thanks again. Appreciate it.
Well, hope to see some of you Tuesday or Thursday.
Yes.
All right, with that, we could move on to item C3, the RTC Ward for General Project Updates.
After just after for questions. Want me to come up or after the questions?
You can stay. How you guys all doing? Thanks for inviting us out here. It's always nice to come out and let you guys all know what some of the plans we have out here for road construction projects and our public transit and some of the planning that we have in the works. My name is Paul Nelson. I'm the Government Affairs Officer at RTC, and I'll give you an overview of some of the things we're planning out here and also talk about a potential advisory question that could be on the ballot in November. There we go. All right. So RTC is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO. There are 4 of them in the state of Nevada. One of them's here, one of them's in Clark County, one in Lake Tahoe, one in Carson City. One of the jobs of an MPO is to produce the Regional Transportation Plan, which is the long-range plan looking 20 years ahead. And in that RTP, we've got 107 projects. This was just approved last February of 2025, and about $4.6 billion worth of investment that we will be putting into the projects here in the next 20 to 25 years. One of the things that we do have to do is if you have a population of 50,000 or more, you have to have an MPO in order to qualify for federal funding. So we do apply for a lot of the federal grants to get some of these projects across the finish line. So speaking of the RTP, this is what's going on out here in the North Valleys and the Spanish Springs area. So between 2025 to 2034, all that yellow that you see up there, those are capacity projects that we have going on in the next 9 or 10 years here. Over here on the right, that's the next 15 years. So a lot of capacity projects coming up here in 2035 to 2050 as well. So lots of capacity projects in the North Valleys. We know that this is one of the biggest growing areas in the region as well as Spanish Springs, and that's why you see so many yellow up there.
Not to interrupt, but are these maps available, I presume, on RTC's website as well? So if people want to look at them, because I know I haven't been seeing these, but are they available? We can share it with people too on the website.
Yes, we have the entire RTP is on our website.
Okay.
So if you go to the RTC website, click the planning, you can find all the different documents.
Okay, so the map will publish this info of the streets.
Yeah, this is in the entire document.
Great. Thank you.
It's in the one of the appendices.
Okay, great.
I also wanted to mention that we have Amanda Caligari here. She is our engineering manager, and also Cleo Wilson from the city of Reno. So they can help answer any questions that I don't know. So this is kind of how a project is born. It starts out in that 20-year RTP that I talked about. And then from there, we prioritize within the next 5 years. We look at which projects we really want to hammer home, start planning, get under construction. With the 2-year outlook, what we do is we go to the city of Reno, the city of Sparks, and Washoe County, and we form these interlocal agreements because we don't own any of the roads.
the jurisdictions on the roads. So we make these agreements and we figure out which projects we're going to be doing here in the next couple of years. From there, we have the annual capital and operating budget. That's when the construction begins. So it's quite a process. So for the fiscal year 26 budget, these are our revenues, about $290 million coming in. You can see the biggest bulk of that comes from local fuel tax, $118 million. The second biggest bulk is federal funding. We do get formula dollars, which are, it's a set amount that we get every year from the federal government, but we also apply for a lot of those discretionary grants. We also have some sales tax, investment income, miscellaneous, regional road impact fees. We get a little bit of money from passenger fares, but that's pretty small compared to the rest of the buckets. And then with the expenditures that we have coming up, the expenses, you can see that the biggest chunk we have are the capacity improvement projects. We have a lot of growth happening in the area and a lot of improvements to make to our road network. You can also see we have a lot of different public transit buckets here. The sales taxes that we collect go towards our public transit. The fuel taxes go into the roads. We also have a little bit of debt there, 23 million. I think that's from the Veterans Parkway project that we did several years ago. So the impact of our investments, you can see in 2024, we did 10 million square feet of pavement preservation. So that's keeping our good roads good. We invested enough money that it created about 2,700 construction jobs to get all these plans in place. And that was an increase of about 5.84%. We also have a contract with UNR. They do some work for us in terms of signal timing and things like that. And then also the investments that year were $171 million. And that was up almost 8% from the previous year. So how do we fund our roads? Every time you go fill up your cars with gas, there are taxes involved with that. There's federal, state, and local fuel tax that goes into it. All of that funding goes directly into the roads. By law, that money has to be used for either maintaining or building roads. We use that for major road construction, pavement preservation, or safety improvements. You can also see $420 million invested in local roads over the last 5 years. And like I said, 4.6 billion needed in the next 20 years or so, 25 years for 107 not-freeway projects. So pavement preservation, this is a very important program that we have that's keeping our good roads good. There's 3 different ways that we do that. There's the crack seals, the patching, the slurry seals. That's the least expensive. Then we have corrective maintenance where we basically replace the top layer of pavement. And then down the road, we actually do a full rehabilitation where that roadway is basically at the end of its life. But then we can reuse those materials and then rebuild the roadway. Last year, we treated about 150 to 200 lane miles for this pavement preservation program. 2.2 to 4.9 million square yards. So that's about 1,000 football fields of treatment that we did. And the annual investment is about $51,000 per lane mile and $2.80 per square yard. So it's a way more affordable way to keep our roads good rather than letting them crumble. And then it costs about 10 times the amount to replace the roads. So vehicle miles traveled here, you can see that we are seeing growth in the amount of miles that people are driving. In 2020, it was less than 3.7 billion miles regionally. And then up in 2024, it was up over 4 billion. So people are driving more in our region than they were before. Taxable gallons sold, on the other hand, are dropping. So what that tells you is people are driving more, but they're buying less fuel. And a big reason for that is because cars are getting to be more fuel efficient. Electric vehicles, hybrids, plug-in hybrids, things like that. So the things that we're seeing right now, about 5% of the cars in Washoe County, registered cars in Washoe County, are either electric vehicles or hybrids. You can see the growth that we're seeing, 562% increase between 2020 and 2025 in EVs. That's the green bar right there. So almost 1,600 registered cars in Washoe County back in June of 2020. Now it's up almost 10,500. Actually, it's probably higher than that because this was a year ago. We don't have the numbers yet for 2026. You can also see the hybrid vehicles, 6,300 in 2020. That's up above 16,000 by 2025. That's 159% increase. So people are moving to these more fuel efficient vehicles. So we had the Gwynn Center do a study to find out is there a good way for electric vehicle owners to either pay a fee or a mileage-based user fee or a tax or something like that? Nevada is one of 10 states that don't have any kind of fee associated with their electric vehicles that go directly into the road system. So what the Gwynn Center studied was when they did the study, what they came up with was the best option was to have a registration fee for electric vehicles of around $250. So we did some market research. We talked to voters to find out, are they opposed to this? Are they in favor to this? And you can see 61% of the people that we polled are in favor of a $250 fee that EV owners would pay when they register their vehicles. And that money would go directly into rebuilding our roads, maintaining our roads, and things like that. Oh, before I go. So on Tuesday, the Washoe County Board of Commissioners are going to have an item where they're going to decide whether or not to put an advisory question on the November ballot, asking voters if they want the legislature to impose this $250 fee at registration. So that doesn't mean that, if it does pass, that doesn't mean that it's going to happen here in Washoe County. The legislature still has to approve that. So if the legislature approves it, one of the things that we will be talking to them about is we want most of that money to stay local so we can build our local roads here. They might end up changing the amount. They might change the mechanism for collecting the fee. So that all remains to be seen, but this could be a question on the November ballot. So I mentioned the regional road impact fees. You can see in the north above I-80, for a single family home, it's about $5,900. South is $5,400. And for multifamily, you can see $3,700, and in the south, $3,400. This is a fee that developers pay when they build homes or buildings for businesses and commercial uses. And that money goes into a bucket, and then we can use that to add capacity to roadways. An example is the Sky Vista project that we did a couple of years ago. That was completely funded with RIF fees. So none of the tax money that we pay at the pump had to be used for that project. We also can use this funding for new roads and ramps, road widening, intersection improvements, and to preserve the right of way for future capacity improvements. One of the things that our planning department is working on is our neighborhood network plans. And last year was the kickoff to it, where they studied neighborhood 9 and neighborhood 7 to really find ways to make it safer within neighborhoods for people to walk or ride their bikes. That could be, something as simple as crosswalks or traffic signals, better sidewalks, bike paths, things like that. And this year we're implementing those first two. So Central Reno, Central Sparks, we're implementing those at the same time we're studying the next two neighborhoods. One of those is out here, Sun Valley, Panther Valley area. The other one is down in the Hidden Valley and Meadowood Mall area. And then next year, we'll start studying the next two neighborhoods and implement the neighborhoods that we're studying this year. So this is about a 6 to 7 year project to implement all these. Some of the treatment types we have, we call them quick builds. For pedestrians, we've got bulb outs just to add a little bit more protection before pedestrians cross the street. We've got these pedestrian refuges. So if you're crossing a 4-lane street and it's clear to go halfway, you've got that protection, and then you can wait for the rest of the traffic and cross the rest of the way. You got little makeshift roundabouts. And then we've got 3 different ways here that we can implement bike lane protection. So we've got bollards, we've got curbing, and we've got armadillos. So there's a lot of ways that we can do this. We call them quick builds because we can do them quickly and we can do them very, really on the cheap. So it doesn't cost us a lot of money. Public transportation, we have all kinds of different programs for our public transit. Our fixed route, we have 20 routes. That's the big buses that you see around town. We at one point had 41 straight months of ridership growth, and then we had 1 month that didn't quite beat the previous, but we're back on I think a 7-month streak again. So we're doing really well there. RTC Flex Ride, we've got 4 zones. It's our Uber and Lyft service, basically. Costs $2 for a ride, and one of them is out here in the North Valleys, and we've got another one in Spanish Springs and Sparks. Somerset and Verdi, and South Meadows. What this really does is it serves areas where there isn't necessarily the demand for a fixed route. There is a fixed route bus that comes out here, but this serves the rest of the area. It'll take people to and from, curb to curb from their house to wherever they're going within that zone. If they want to go farther than that zone, then they will take them to the nearest bus stop, and then they can hop on and go down into Reno or Sparks or wherever they want to go. Van Pool is a very important program in Northern Nevada. We have one of the top 10 largest fleets in the country, which is pretty impressive for a region our size, about 500,000 people here, and we're in the top 10. We're competing with cities like Salt Lake City and Seattle, which have way bigger populations. We're right between those two. One of our biggest clients is Tesla Panasonic. So a lot of people that work out there do take the van pool programs, and that's important because that takes some of the pressure off of Interstate 80. It removed 20 million miles traveled in the region last year. Last few years it's done that. So it's been very successful. People also use it to travel to Carson City, Susanville, Lake Tahoe, Truckee, places like that. So it's been very productive. The way it works is we provide a subsidy. Enterprise provides the car. The employer can also provide a subsidy, and it makes it very affordable for the person that's driving to have a lease. And then they have whoever, 5 to 15 people hop on with them. And it just makes it a lot easier for people to get to and from work and a lot more affordable for them to lease the vehicle. Other services, RTC Smart Trips, which is traveling really any way you want except by yourself in a car. So carpooling, riding the bus, ride your bike, work from home, walk, things like that. Washoe Senior Ride, this is our Taxi Bucks program where if you're 60 years old, we're going to change that age coming up here to 65 and older. A veteran or a senior or a person with a disability, you can apply for this card. You get $60 a month on it. You can use it for either an Uber, a Lyft, or a taxi. And then public transit contractors. We are in charge of the buses. We own the buses, but Keolis operates our ride system and MTM operates our Flex Ride and our paratransit systems. Future riders. So, teaching some of our younger kids, the younger generation, how to use our bus system that we think is successful. They might end up, using the buses as they get older, and maybe they like the public transit system. They'll keep doing it. Two of the programs that we have, one is the EdPass program, whereas if you're an employee or a student at either the University of Nevada, TMCC, Western Nevada College, or the Desert Research Institute, you can ride for free. And you can use it anytime you want, wherever you want to go. The other one that we have is Youth Ride Free. We just finished our first year of this pilot program, and we had about 4,700 Washoe County School District students sign up for the program. We partnered with the school district because they were seeing a problem with absenteeism. We did this year see a drop in absenteeism. We don't know if that's because of the transportation, but we like to take the credit for it. One of the things that we noticed was we did expect that people would use it to get to and from school and from extracurricular activities, but the biggest thing that we found was that most of the trips were after school, where students were taking the bus to get to work. So it's helping these kids have jobs after school too, or on the weekends. So some of the projects we have coming up here in the next couple of years. Buck Drive Circulation. This is a project, kind of a smaller project that we'll be wrapping up here next month, right? Next month we'll be wrapping this project up, really just to improve the circulation between Lemon Drive and North Hills Boulevard. One of the things you'll see is a dedicated right-hand turn lane and a traffic signal. Military road capacity and safety. We just broke ground on this project on Monday, so this one is now under construction. Thank you, Council Member Ebert, for coming out to that. That was a good event. This is a really important project because you can see the way this road is right now. There's about 15,000 cars that drive on it every day, and there needs to be more capacity. So it'll be, if you look at that cross section there, it'll be 5 lanes. So 4 travel lanes and a center turn lane. There's also going to be a lot of improvements for pedestrian and bicycle traffic. There'll be better drainage, curbs and gutters. It's going to be a really big improvement for this roadway between Lemon Drive and Deer Boulevard. There'll also be some traffic signals that we'll be installing. So overall, this will be a really good project. It'll improve safety first and foremost. When you got 15,000 cars going those speeds, safety is always one of the biggest considerations that we're looking at. The stead signal improvements. So this will be happening where we'll install fiber optics between North Virginia Street and Lear Boulevard. This will really enhance the communication. So fiber will allow these traffic signals to communicate with each other and just allow traffic to flow a lot better. There will also be a left turn safety improvement at Lear Boulevard. So it doesn't seem like much, people really don't think about traffic signals very often, but they actually do make a really big difference in our commutes. Lemon Drive traffic improvements and resiliency. So we're going to start this one in 2027. This has been planned for a long time. We've had a lot of meetings with the public about it. We'll be realigning Lemon Drive to bring it above the 100-year floodplain. It'll make it a lot better for evacuations, for first responders to get in and out of the neighborhood. There will be some flood mitigation that we'll be putting in there, those green squares right there, some detention basins. Overall, this is gonna, we think, really enhance that area. There's also gonna be a shared use path that people can ride their bikes or scooters or walk. We think this will be a really good improvement for the area. We also got a $25 million raise grant from the federal government to pay for a large portion of this project. US 395 and Virginia Street, North Valleys. So obviously you guys have been dealing with a lot of heartburn with the phase 1B of the 395 project. Once they wrap that up, they're going to start on phase 2 from Golden Valley up to Stead. That also includes some improvements to Virginia Street for pedestrians and bicyclists. There'll be some transit improvements. So there was an $89 million infra grant that we applied for on behalf of NDOT that we were successful in, and that will go towards this project. Also next year, Moya Boulevard. So this is going to be from Red Rock Road to Echo Avenue. There will be an additional lane in each direction and a multi-use path and a sidewalk. And then down the road, possibly in 2028, once 395 is completed, our plan is to start on this project, the North Valleys, North Virginia Street capacity. Again, a lot of capacity projects out here in the North Valleys. Once that project is done, we don't want to do the project at the same time and all the traffic is clogged up out here. There's only 2 ways to get out here, Virginia Street and 395. So this will be widened from the 2 lanes to 4 lanes. There will be a lot of improvements for pedestrians and bicyclists, a lot of safety improvements. So, and some transit improvements as well. So this one will get underway here in a couple of years. Originally, we were hoping for 2027, but with the next phase of 395 starting next spring, more than likely this will get pushed off into 28. The Northeast Connector. So this doesn't necessarily affect North Valleys directly, but it could affect people that work at the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center that live here. And the reason why is because there's about 50,000 cars that travel on Interstate 80 between Sparks and Trick. And one of the things that we just did was we looked at a feasibility and alignment study to build a road between USA Parkway and Spanish Springs or Sparks. So we looked at 6 different routes, and the top scoring route was connecting it to Vista Boulevard over by Gold Eagle Park. Cost of about $275 million. The one that scored the second highest was connecting it to La Posada up on the north side of Spanish Springs. That would relieve about 10% of the traffic off of I-80. If there is bad weather or crash or something like that, it also would allow an alternate route for people to get away from that traffic, and then they could go up into Sparks. Also, in the long term, there are plans to connect Lemon Valley to Spanish Springs, and then that could also be a connector down the road. So this is not funded right now. It's in the very early stages. There's a lot of things that we have to go through before we can even think about building. It's federal land, so we'd have to get an easement from the BLM. There's environmental studies. There are different stakeholders involved. So there's a lot of things that we would have to do getting the funding. That's a big one. 275 to $450 million is a really heavy lift. So that's one of the things that we're looking at to help relieve pressure on Interstate 80. The other thing we're looking at is the commuter rail study that we recently did. And this would be using Union Pacific's rail line to move people between Reno and Sparks and USA Parkway. This one is also a really heavy lift because we have to get Union Pacific's blessing before we can do anything. There would be some double tracking that we would have to put in. We would have to build a train station, maintenance facility. There'd have to be another station out there at Tahoe Reno Industrial Center. But if we were able to get this up and running on day one, the estimates are about 4,500 passengers would be taking this train. By about the third year, once we get all the improvements in, there could be around 14,000 passengers. So that would take a lot of vehicles off Interstate 80. That would make it a lot safer. There's about 150 crashes on that corridor every year. So you're talking one every other day. Nobody likes crashes, especially serious crashes where there's injuries or fatalities. And nobody likes being stuck in the traffic when there is a crash. So we're looking at all kinds of different options to help relieve some of the problems that we're seeing on Interstate 80. Also, NDOT is widening that roadway from 4 lanes to 6. So we'll see what happens down the road, but for sure NDOT's doing that. We'll see what happens with these two studies. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Sure. Trenton, you know,
I'm all good.
Go for it. Telling you for the record, I do sit on the RTC multimodality, so I love seeing this presented again. So thank you for coming out here. I'll kind of work backwards. Do you guys know, have you guys compared your accidents for like Highway 80 going out to USA Parkway to like one of the other highways or more highways in the country that are deadly and where we're kind of impacted there? Like Highway 17, for example.
Amanda Calgary, RTC Engineering Manager for the record. So just to clarify, I-80 is not a roadway that is under RTC's purview. It's an MDOT roadway. So that might be a good question for them, but I'm happy to reach out to them and help you get that information.
Amazing.
And also, NDOT does, they handle all the crash statistics too.
Yeah, it does. Thank you for that. Sorry.
And one other note, they did wrap up their environmental study. I believe it was last fall. And so I'm sure all of that's the safety data on that is incorporated into that NEPA document or that environmental document that will be posted. And it's required to be posted to their website.
Oh, no, thank you. And then with the Northeast connector, I know that's been something in the books for like the last 7 years. What you guys are trying to do, I think it's a great idea. I just know there's a lot of impact, you know, when driving out that way, with on federal, you know, different land and ownerships. You already see the huge warehouses already being built out that way, kind of stationing themselves for what that looks like. Are there going to be, is it going to be more like a North Virginia type roadway, or is it going to be, you know, 4 lanes, 6 lanes? What does that look like for the foreseeable future? Because I foresee semi trucks using that.
So
instead of-
yeah, the plan is it's a 2-lane road with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. It's not intended to be a truck route. It's really intended to be a commuter route. We've had a lot of people take our survey on that, and a lot of it's positive. The people that commute especially would like to see something done yesterday. Some people that don't use that route to commute, that don't deal with the traffic, they're concerned about adding more traffic. The traffic's already there. We're just moving the traffic now. So, you know, we'll see how everything goes, but that's the plan, a 2-lane road. And with the possibility in the future, depending on what happens, you know, we could see it widen in the future.
Yeah, I could expand on that. So if most of both of those connectors run through public land, so BLM land, that was part of our analysis, was to look at reducing our impacts to privately owned parcels, which is one of the reasons we had the preferred alignment be the south alignment, because there are fewer privately owned parcels. So what that would look like would be a land easement from BLM to whoever the owning jurisdiction would be, and we would get a enough width to accommodate a larger roadway in the future if need be. But as Paul said, because we have to think about fiscal feasibility of the project, that's why you're looking at more of like a rural highway type roadway.
I like that. My next question, would that also then have just like the southeast connector? Would that have a bike trail, a walk, like a trail that you'd be able to get to one point to the other? Like if I wanted to go like I do now on a dirt road from here to Sparks to go have dinner, could I ride my bike or take an e-bike? Or if I worked out there, just like the southeast connector has, if I wanted to go from South Reno to Sparks?
That is not currently in our plan, but again, it's very high level, mostly looking at the traffic analysis portion of it. If we move forward, if our board approves us or directs us to move forward into environmental, that would be considered. I know that the pyramid trail, I know they're looking at multiple different routes as well to connect Vista out to Trek, and so I believe they've been in coordination with NDOT through the I-80 East widening project. So they would be a great group to reach out to, but it will be, I mean, the length of roadway just between Vista and Trick is 13.1 miles. And so this is going to be even longer. So it would be a very long commute and have a lot of significant elevation change along it.
Well, in the state of Nevada, Kelly, we do like, what is it, the marathon run? It's like all of the mountain peaks. I don't run, but you know, as you said, roller skate. But they do all the mountain peaks up here, which is amazing to see. People come from all over the world to run our peaks. So that would be just another, you know, added incentive. But you know, to run just like our police officers and fire department run from Vegas to Reno every year. That is something that they do. And so that's what I was curious. And then my next question, I do love the trains. I'm thankful. Like I can't ask for that fast enough. That's 50 years old, more like 120, but fixed routes, military. I wrote a note. The military road, are we gonna be putting like maybe a bus path on military maybe in the future? Is it something you're looking at, maybe like bus route?
As of now, I don't think there's a plan for that. We just wrapped up our Move More with RTC, which is our every 5 years, we do an audit of our entire transit system. And there are some changes that we'll be making to our transit system. I don't think military is one of them where we plan on putting a bus right now, though.
Okay. And then on the shared path that we're doing like in the back of Lemon, is that gonna have a bike path or a walking path for people also? Or is that just for road connectivity? And then if it is it gonna have like a low light, like, you know, like example, Southeast Connector, they can, you know, get on the bike path and get in? Because I think a lot of our residents out in the North Valleys that live outside of, you know, being closer to the freeways, you know, are riding their bikes or taking dirt bikes or whatever, getting from the back to the front. So having that shared path connector, is that something that's in the project?
Yes, there is. So there's currently a multi-use path out there. It's not in the best shape. So we are actually fully reconstructing that with the project. So it's all going to be fresh pavement and nice to ride on for anyone who lives out in that valley to get to school or to work or just to take your dog for a walk. So that will be reconstructed as a project.
Perfect. And my next,
and well, if I could add one note to that, it's going to actually be further away from the road. So currently it's pretty close to the road. And so it's still going to be maintained like right in front of people's driveways, but the roadway is being moved further. So now when you go take your dog for a walk, you're not going to be, you know, riding or walking right next to mainline limit with cars going at higher speeds are going to be offset a little bit.
Perfect. No, thank you. My last question is, you know, with the businesses, the builders, is it the RRIF fees? Is that correct? What about initiative or rules or getting something set for all these businesses coming here, basically like Amazon, who are not registering their vehicles in this state. And so none of their vehicle registrations are feeding back into our community and our taxes to help the roads that they drive on every day. Oregon, California, everywhere but Nevada, I get it, but is there anything that the RTC is looking into to help kind of grab, these big businesses besides them putting a building and they have to pay, $5,500 or $3,500 single family? Like, is there some way that, RTC can look at grabbing some of those yes, you're bringing this building, but you're going to have 3,000 vehicles or 150 vehicles. This is a fee you're going to pay RTC or the state of Nevada. I guess that's a bigger picture within the city of Reno, pay us something so our road taxes. I know they're fueling their vehicles, but they're not registering their vehicles in the state. So DMV question, sorry.
Well,
I'll answer that, but doesn't.
Amazon, I think most of their vans are electric.
Yeah.
So they're not paying into the roads with that.
Right.
When it comes to the RIF stuff with the 3,000 cars, you want to answer that?
Yeah, so I'm not the expert. Our other engineering manager in the engineering department is our RIF expert, but my understanding is that each type of development, whether it's residential, commercial, warehouse, there's a certain number of trips that are generated. And this all comes from, there's guidance on it, but a certain number of trips comes from each type of development. And so that is what contributes to how much they would owe. So a single family resident would only pay X amount of dollars compared to commercial development where you're getting hundreds of vehicles in and out a day. So it's different rates for different types of facilities. So RIF is really separate than, say, like a fee that Paul was referencing. It's different. It has to do with development, and that all goes into a fund strictly for capacity improvements. So definitely separate.
No, thank you for that.
Also on like Amazon and things like that, there have been discussions regarding, this possible EV fee of charging a fee for these delivery vehicles that are electric vehicles too. We'll see what the legislature comes up with that though.
Yes, some other states put a fee, like a small delivery fee to cover. That goes towards funding the roadways too. So there's a couple unique ways that you could go about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for answering my questions.
So yeah, I did have just a couple of things real quick. I try to bring my talk. Take time from the board members, but I did have a couple questions with regard to, you mentioned the alternate routes to connect to Sparks and other areas. And you had said one of them only was expected to alleviate 10%.
Yeah, about 4,500 cars
Okay, so
per day.
is it possible to get statistics on where people are going northbound? You know, both of us are leaving to go into town to work, but do we know if they're ending up in USA Parkway? Do we know if they're in Monty Ranch? Like, can we get that level of information so we can identify, like, would we be able to get more traffic off this road if we put a route somewhere else? Because I would like to get more than 10% alleviation for like $415 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all actually laid out and spelled out in our feasibility study. So our main intent of that study was to identify a roadway that would be used by the most amount of people possible.
Okay.
And so, believe it or not, there are third parties who left data on everyone's phones, cars, everything that can track where you're starting from and where you're going.
Okay.
And so we go got that information from them. That's documented in our feasibility study. And about 80% of the people who use TRIP come from north of I-80. And I don't know the further breakdown as to Spanish Springs, North Valleys, but there's a significant amount of people who still come from North Valleys. The majority, though, is in that Sparks, Northern Sparks, Spanish Springs area.
Yeah.
Commute. And so with that, we're seeing which route was going to pull the most traffic. And so that was done through an iterative analysis to better understand what was going to pull the most traffic. And then that's what advanced to level 2 of our screening of our alternatives. So
Okay, so is that information available to see what part of town, like, would I be able to access that information?
absolutely, it's on our website.
That would be really helpful. And do you have an idea of how many people, percentage wise, to go to work every day? Because I know we have retirees and things like that. So
That's actually going to be incorporated. So the draft feasibility study is out there. One thing we're working on right now, because we've had, I think, 3, maybe 4 public meetings specifically related to this feasibility study. And so we're gathering all of that public input, or I guess previous to the our last public meeting, we gathered all that public input and then to help, and we used that input and feedback to help develop a survey of what commuters, what the community was looking for. And that gave us some good data points to pull from. So all of that is going to be incorporated into the final draft of the feasibility study, which is forthcoming and will be finalized in the next month or 2.
Great.
And then presented to our board.
Okay, good. Because I am very curious about, you know, habits, you know, where people are going. I mean, I shouldn't say habits, but just where people go for work, you know, where are people from? Because we do want to have other types of development out here besides just housing, just warehouses, things like that, more well-rounded. And one of the issues we run into is not having a lunch route, a restaurant. So I'm curious to see like what percentage leaves and, you know, what part of the greater area are they going to? See if we can kind of attract some of those jobs to this area too. So I'm really interested in finding out, you know, to what level to get that information. And then also, you mentioned the program for seniors to get credits for Lyft and taxis. How would somebody find that information out?
So that is on our website as well.
Okay.
If people want to sign up for the program, they have to go in person to our Terminal Way office building.
Okay.
Because they got to show identification and prove that they're either a veteran, person with a disability, or if they're of age to get that the taxi bus program.
So, like if I'm just telling, I obviously you're not doing it, but how people go to the website, push the phone number, and then you have to go to our address or.
Yeah, you just come into RTC's office, so 1105 Terminal Way, and our customer service desk is right there. And I passed probably a group of 6 people every time I go to the bathroom signing up for taxi bucks. So it's a pretty popular program.
And have you noticed any decrease in bus usage on North Virginia due to any changes in the leases of the warehouses, like Amazon leaving or anything like that? Like, is there any existing bus lines that we could potentially not have in the future if there's not enough ridership?
In terms of North Valleys, I don't think so. I think that one is well used.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few that go north that they're pretty well traveled.
Okay.
Like I said, though, we do these audits every 5 years, and we do make certain tweaks here and there. Like one of them we're doing is in Southwest Reno, where they're going to be kind of combining 2 routes into one.
Yeah.
And the reason is they want to go where the people are that are using it.
Of course,
So.
yeah, that's why I have a little bit of concern if you know, some jobs in that area, and then if we kind of more of a data center hub, if we'll be able to sustain the bus lines. So that was just a question. It's probably bigger than what we're talking about today, but
it is pretty popular. It passed, I think it's Route 9, coming from Stead. So it's 7. Thank you. And it was packed.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most packed buses I've seen.
Like when it's shift change, so that's why
Yeah.
I know it is heavily dependent on the employment specifically at those warehouses. So, and I mean, I guess if there's not people working there, you don't need a bus line, but I would imagine they wouldn't all be at once. So I'm just concerned about people that rely on public transportation and people who continue our services, and if there's like some situation. And the other thing was, oh, I lost my train of thought. I just want to say thanks so much for coming out today. I wish we had more people, but I know I sat in traffic forever. So I think, some people just maybe got discouraged or didn't think they would make it in time. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for the groundbreaking on Military Road. Very excited about it. Thank you so much. Yeah. Oh, that was something else I wanted to talk about. Maybe Khalil, you can share too. I had inquired about rehoming the trees along the military road that could be, because there's new housing developments that have happened along both sides of military, and they've put in these great little trees and shrubs and all that. And it's a shame to see them get ripped out and destroyed, a couple of years later. But Khalil has shared with me that RTC and is it Steve Reno too are replanting almost all of the trees, except for the ones that are too large.
Yes.
I would say there's a great number of those trees that are actually dead. So we had both the city arborist and our subcontractor, landscaping contractor out there, and we are working with the city of Reno to understand what we can salvage, and what is not healthy and won't make it through salvaging. And so we are doing that. There is a couple very, very constrained areas of that corridor where it's not even possible to plant trees in order to accommodate the built out facilities. But where we do have room, we will be accommodating as many trees as we can salvage that are healthy.
Yeah. And then also, Khalil had shared that when they take trees out, they will plant to replace them. Not in the exact same spot, but they will.
We'll look to replant. Khalil Wilson, interim director of public works. When we take out the larger ones, look to plant additional ones in order to make sure that we're balancing that. So the larger trees, they just don't survive if you try to replant them in some area, because they're well established and the roots, there's too much trauma for them to be moved. And the areas to the northern end where we're putting in the traffic signals, the footprint of what we're putting in for the turn lanes for the traffic signals is so vast that the trees need to come out, and mostly because of safety to see around the corners.
Yeah, but I just wanted to share that's something that was considered, and they've done a great job shifting some things around, so we don't have to lose everything.
Well, Kelly, for the record, I was gonna go out there with a shovel, so I must have been waiting. Cause I'm like, I know we're gonna put those, not in my yard, I don't want that responsibility, but thank you, that's wonderful. Cause I know with like and sorry to interrupt, with the way the park and the roads were widened over by the roundabout, a lot of the trees that the Boy Scouts planted were cut down and taken away. So it's great to see that. So thank you.
One more thing. So we're talking about specifically is in the areas where you guys travel down Military Road, where those new developments are with like Royal Crossing and Military, those areas. Those areas right there, underneath the poles. So there's area behind there that we can relocate the trees on the other side. And on the side of the Royal Crossing is the pathways widening to the west. So the parkway in the middle is going to remain, so they can keep those trees in location. So the idea is that we'll get a fresh look of the entire. So things that are dead get replanted, things get relocated, shrubs will get put in. The nice thing is that we've got irrigation on both sides of the where the HOAs are, that they can hook them up and plant and get water to these trees and get them established.
Thank you. Kelsey, for the record. With refinish. Oh yeah, that was it. I just want to give them a shout out for doing that.
Awesome, and thank you so much for being here. I had a question in regard to expansion for FlexRide. I was just curious, especially out here, going out to Cold Springs, if there is any kind of intention, especially after the feasibility study, for there to be more public transportation that goes out there, because I know that a fixed route probably won't go out there for a very long time, but if there's intent for Flex Ride to be expanded out here.
I know we did look at Flex Ride as part of that study. Yeah, move more with RTC. We look at every part of our transit system with this project. I don't know if they're going to be changing the Flex Ride zones or not, or adding any additional ones. That's something that I could talk to our director of public transit about and get back to you.
Okay. Yeah, I know that a lot of times, people, are, community members that have disabilities live in, those areas, and they're isolated. And so they can't get anywhere because of that. And so, it's just something that I really want to, voice that there is a need for it out there. Because if Flex Ride isn't going to go out there, not Flex Ride, a fixed route isn't going to go out there. If Flex Ride can expand out there, that would be great. And then my next one is,
Can I speak to that? So RTC Access is actually a great resource for someone
so
if they have
it doesn't go out there.
access.
Yeah, it's access. The problem with access is access has to follow within a quarter mile, I think, of a fixed route. So
Yeah, so access doesn't go, the Flex Ride has a bigger route than access does. But it still, access isn't as reliable. Sometimes people will be on the bus for over 2 hours, and that's not feasible for somebody who's trying to work or go to the doctor or something like that. And even then, it's a smaller route than Flex Ride. So, but the next question I had was, you were talking about the dedicated right-hand turn lanes. At one of the new road developments that you guys have, or
Buck Drive.
yeah, I
Buck Drive.
believe so, yeah. And so I just was curious about you were also talking about the accessibility for pedestrians and cyclists at the same time. Is that a slip lane or where that people are going to be turning on that right way, or how is that going to work for safety wise?
It is a channelized lane, but I believe I don't know if it has stop control on it. I know the timing has to be integrated with the signal that's going in there. So definitely improved safety for people crossing. I just can't remember, sorry, if there's a designated independent signal specifically for that channelized right-hand turn lane, but I could get that information for you.
Okay, well, that would be great. I know that there's orientation mobility instructors that are working with some of the city engineers. I don't know if that's you to make the turns a little bit safer, just because those dedicated right-hand turns make it really difficult for white cane users as well as wheelchair users. And so just something to take into consideration. And then for the fixed routes, I know that you guys have the youth ride for free. And I know it's not available near all of the high schools. I don't think that it's near Reed High. And so I didn't know if in your analysis, your studies, if there was like a gaps analysis that was conducted to see, because again, it would get more riders if it was more, within more high schools.
And I will point out with Reed High School, that route that goes over there's a route that currently goes to Northern Nevada Medical Center over in Sparks. And they usually pick up like 2 or 3 people a day. So they decided to not have a stop there, but they are rerouting that and it will go by Reed High School.
Okay, so there is a reroute that will make it there eventually. Okay.
And they're implementing these changes over the next few years, so they don't just shock the system all at once. So every 6 months? I think it's every May and every October or something like that. They'll implement certain changes over the next few years.
Okay. And then is there for the taxi bugs, is there going to be an increase for that $60? Because I think it's $60 a month. If you don't use it, you lose it. But a lot of times, especially for people who live out here, if they go to a doctor in town, it's going to be about $50 to $60 one way. And so I didn't know if there had been any discussion to increase the like the dollars that people can obtain. I know that there's other resources like N4, which is a batch system, but there's a long wait list for that. And so I didn't know if there had been any kind of discussion in regard to that, an increase in the taxi bucks.
No, I haven't heard that we're looking at increasing that payment.
And then were you guys still planning on using access buses during high time for Flux Ride?
Yeah, so that's called intermingling. And the reason for that is so FlexRide is not going to be taking away paratransit buses, but if let's say there's somebody that uses access that comes out, along Route 7, and they drop that person off, and somebody at the same time calls for a flex ride, it just makes more sense for that access bus to pick that passenger up and then take them rather than sending a completely different vehicle out. But it won't be at the expense of another paratransit customer.
Gotcha. I just say that just because, again, the rides on access are significant and it causes a lot of behavioral problems and physical issues for people who ride it that are on those buses for a really long time. And so that's just, I know every time you come here, I always bring it up, but I want to bring it up again. So, and I think that for the Union Pacific rail line is not even a hope. Like, do we even think that's going to happen? Or are we just getting our hopes up for no reason?
Well, they've been very open. We've had good conversations with them, but there's got to be something in it for them, right? If we're going to be taking capacity off of their rails, because they deal with freight, not people. So if we're going to be taking some of their capacity and increasing their liability, there's got to be some improvements that we make as well. So that's where the double tracking comes in. Another option that we're looking at would be extending the rail all the way out to Tesla. And that would work for both commuter rail and freight, so that Tesla, rather than shipping things out in their trucks, they could put it on the rail line and send it out that way. So that would help Union Pacific in that way. And it would also take some of those trucks off Interstate 80.
That's everything that I have.
Larissa online, go ahead.
Hi, yes, Larissa Beaning for the record. First of all, thank you guys for coming out. I know we always bombard you with questions. I think most of my questions were already answered tonight, but I do have one, and I don't know if I missed it, but I know you said the road that you guys were talking about was going to be like estimated 275 million. Are we even at a stage where we can estimate like the commuter train um, part of it?
Yeah, so for the commuter rail, it would cost about $175 million just to get it up and running. It would cost another $30 million to buy the trains. That's the short-term investment. Long-term, take all the improvements would cost between $800 million and $1.2 billion. So there's short-term costs and long-term costs. It also would cost $11 million a year to operate the train. So that's another issue that we would have, because we've got in our public transit budget, it's about $40 million. So we can't afford $11 million to operate a train. There's also authority issues. RTC right now doesn't have the authority to operate a train, so we would have to find somebody that would have that authority. There would have to be some changes at the legislature in order to give us, give some entity the authority to operate the train as well. I think right now in the state of Nevada, the only county that can actually operate a commuter rail is Clark, because there's a population cap of at least 700,000. So one of the recommendations that came out of the regional rail study group was to lower that pop cap so that Washoe County could also participate in that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any more questions? Okay, we will.
Can I have one more thing here? One of the things, Khalil Wilson again for the record. that might have got buried in the presentation that they did that I wanna sort of set some focus to. That RTC is doing a fantastic job of is putting in these multimodal connection points for the entire connection from McCarran all the way up to North Valleys. To kind of walk through it for you is essentially Lemon already has, multimodal connection, and we're building that one with the new Lemon extension that's going out there. We also have Military Road that we're building multimodal on. Lemon Moya will have connections on it. So does the new North Virginia piece that's going from Panther all the way up to Stead will have multimodal connections as well. And the piece of North Virginia that Paul talked about is a multimodal connection as well. So quite frankly, you'll be able to go from all the way here on your bike, all the way down to Nevada to go to a football game, on a bicycle. So in about 5 years, I would say, that you'll have some complete connection from the North Valleys here all the way down into the core. And it's a big step that these guys have taken over the last few years and really kind of making these connections to the far off reaches of this community. So I really want to thank them for their commitment to that activity. The other thing I wanted to focus on as well is Buck Drive. So one of the things I let Councilmember Ebert know is essentially Buck Drive is finishing up as far as the major improvements go this July. However, there's a traffic light that goes going in at North Hills and Buck that is going to be a little bit behind the completion because material procurement timelines, so it's going to operate as a stop control for the time being. But once it comes in, all they have to do is put up and fly the signals and it'll be operational again. So you start getting some feedback from everybody that, hey, I thought this was done. It's supposed to be a traffic signal. It is on its way, and it'll be flying and it'll come out quickly. Audible signals. So the one thing you were talking about, getting the pedestrian and vehicle conflict points. All signals that go in now have the audible signals associated with it, so it's better good for the vision impaired community as well as the wheelchair community as well. So that was a few things, kind of notes that I was taking along the way that I want to make sure that the RTC really got credit for the things that they've been doing.
Thank you. Open it up to public comment and start first, and then we'll have some people online.
Jared Souter, one thing that was touched upon was pavement project in the improvements. I live in Silver Shores neighborhood off Red Rock. SNC started a project. They put cones up on streets. They've started doing the improvement of fixing cracks in the pavement. But there's been really no communication by email or public communication. I look at your website. There's not anything that draws our attention. I just think communication would be better because I thought, are they going to do a seal slurry on my road? Can I get to my house? And it was just causing some communication concerns. That how do we improve that? The other question I had is that you touched upon 2026 the Stead Boulevard ITS or the fiber connection and improving lights up Lear. With phase 2 starting on the 395, I've asked this before with NDOT, and they say it's up to the RTC. There's really no communication of how is the interchange at Stead and 395 going to change how it is now to where it should be to allow for safe travel through that interchange. If people are going north and want to go to Stead or to Virginia or vice versa, how do we prevent accidents at that interchange? Because I haven't heard yet that lights are going in or there's going to be capacity improvement at that interchange.
Okay, I'll start with your first question. So you're referring to our annual pavement preservation program and that preventative maintenance project that is ongoing right now by SNC. They take care of all the cleaning of cracks and crack sealing first, usually throughout the network to get it far enough ahead. And then they move on to patching. And then once all the patching is done, then they start to move on to their slurries. And so there will be, before slurries go in, they put up changeable message signs. It's a very mobile operation. Slurry is usually less than 1 day for one area. Sometimes they hit multiple streets. And so it would, we do have information on our website regarding our annual maintenance project, and I'm happy to get you that information. But it's more so a mobile operation, so it's handled through changeable message signs, rather than, otherwise we'd be notifying all of Washoe County because it's so sporadic everywhere. And,
I would also add that you can go to the City of Reno's website, the Reno Road Closers. And what we do as well is we put up all the pavement preservation streets there. You can find information on there as well.
I see general maps, but just like as far as pinpointing, like, hey, when does that project start, and have, like, being a little bit more detailed, what do you think?
Oh, detail oriented, yeah, that's good, great feedback.
And as for the interchange, I don't know why I thought wouldn't have that big interchange. There's, so I hate to kind of pass the buck, but I am not familiar enough with the phase 2 full build out plans.
Yeah, I mean, Ames Construction has won the bid, and they said that they're starting to great credit. They're actually going to reverse and start at Stead and work their way back to Golden because QD is so far behind. I wish they'd started last year on this phase 2, but at least they recognize that they can't wait till next year to start. So they're starting July 13th on phase 2. But again, NDOT's presentation last year has been, oh, we're really not making any changes to the Stead interchange at this part of phase 2. But RTC, they're going to be putting fiber and making improvements, but it's not putting lights at the interchange. It's not changing lane configurations. And when there's a fire or accident at Stead or whatever else is happening, more accidents happen. There's been a lot of fatalities on that off ramp going northbound because design and the traffic flow. So
yeah, and I'll have to talk to our traffic engineer, Alex Wilson, to see if there's any preemption devices going in that really coordinate with that emergency services vehicle to help with the flow during those times. I could check in on that. But the fiber definitely will help with the coordination of signals and overall traffic flow. But unfortunately, I'm not aware of any interchange improvements. Typically, and that is one to
We will move online. Rebecca Flannery. You might state your name.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Flannery. I actually have a list of questions, so I don't know if it's better to do one at a time or list them all off and then you try to remember. But one thing I would really like to start with is I don't think the surveys are really gathering attention. Have you guys thought of having like a community, like NAB, like a community of people that live in the area that drive these routes every day to actually give you like information to improve our roadways? I'm gonna start with that question.
Is that specific to a certain project or?
It's specific to everything, honey, because the roads in Reno, like, I grew up here and we used to have the most amazing roads, and now we're just being bombarded by development, and so many roads are like, how many times do you guys come out here and drive the roads? You probably got a whole glimpse of it today by a semi crashing and screwing up the freeway. So then all the back roads are like a hot mess. So have you actually considered like having community members do like a panel to like help advise you guys on development of roadways?
So we actually have, as part of our program, the Citizens Multimodal Advisory Committee. And that is.
How do we get on that?
You can go to our website and there, I don't know how often we recruit members, but they are on terms. I think we still meet on Microsoft Teams for these meetings, but it is made up of community members throughout the region where
I would
they
absolutely love a link to that because these roads are a hot mess out here. I'm going to go secondly, when you guys develop roads, I'm going to give you a prime example right now. So if, like, for example, you get off 395 and you're going to go up Clear Acre because you can't stand the backup because 395 is just a disaster, and it's like what, a year behind. When you go down to Dandini and you want to turn left to go to Dandini, like there's a whole concrete barrier and little poles like blocking you from having a length of cars. So you have to sit through I don't know how many lights to like turn left on Dandini, like you're gonna go up to TMCC and just get on par. Like, we need to stop having those little concrete. We need actually extensions. If you're not gonna have two turning lanes, we need to have those concrete things not there with the poles, because that's a huge turning lane for people that is not accessible, because you have to sit through all the lights, which is another thing that I'm going to complain about, because the lights around Reno are not, they're not timed correctly. They're a horrible mess. Yeah, that's what I say. Sorry, I got a list of things. The timing of the lights is like atrocious. And especially like even Sun Valley right there. I'm trying to come home and I have to sit here and wait for traffic going.
We had to stop your comment because you've exceeded the timeline.
We have one more online. Christopher Carlos, when you're ready, just unmute your mic and state your name for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, my name is Chris Carlos. I just more had a suggestion for the future. I really like the youth partnership with Washoe County School District. For future consideration, I was wondering if there's a way for RTC to explore offering a similar program and partnering with state agencies that fall under the DEDR umbrella, like book rehab. We have a lot of people that come in that haven't used the bus, right? They're freshly out of jail, they're in recovery, they can't drive, they don't have a means to get a bus pass or have familiarity with using the buses. So I think just maybe exploring at offering a similar program and partnering with state agencies would really be beneficial and empower the community, especially those who are trying to make a change.
And I know that we have had discussions with Jim when we get released, not necessarily about providing free rides, but for making sure that the route is going to the right place to help these people out. And I don't know if anyone here knows if Washoe County Sheriff's Office provide the passes or not.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. Kelly Orr for the record. Washoe County and so do the hospitals can provide passes for people that need them and want them. Or a voucher for a cab and stuff like that. They have the vouchers.
Kelsey, then for the record, I know that for other programs, when people are like trying to, like, I think in regard to what he's stating, for like DEDR with like vocational rehabilitation, things like that. Just trying to see if there's a way that there could be partnership on it.
Is there anyone else in person who has any comments?
I just wanted to respond to the fact that Kelly Orr for the record. Rebecca Flannery, I wanted to let you know that I sit on the RTC multimodality board and you can go on there anytime. It's a great benefit. I've been on the board for 2 years and I love going. It's the first Wednesday of the month.
And if I could expand on that response too, we do have very intentional outreach on every one of our projects. Our larger ones that impact a larger community, we typically have multi public information meetings. We do a lot of surveys. When we develop our planning documents, our RTP, our long range planning document, there's significant outreach to the community. So everyone's voice is being heard. Comments are being heard on what the long-term plans are for Washoe County as far as our road network and transportation in general, as well as our short-term plans and what is being done in the near term and incorporated in our near-term project improvements. So We do a wide array. I know our neighborhood network plans, there is significant outreach to those communities and neighborhoods. They're meeting people at grocery stores, at schools, at football games on the weekend. So our staff is going all over all the time, getting the word out there. We do these almost once or twice a year, go to all the NABs and cabs. There is a lot of public outreach we do. So
Chelsea, no, for the record, are you guys still having your RCC board meeting tomorrow, even though it's a federal holiday?
it's moved to next Thursday.
It has, okay,
Same
all
time.
right. So that was just another fun thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Any questions? We can close this item. You.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. Over your staff.
Yes, so I'm back in time. There is, the thing that happened when we did not have a forum at the last NAB meeting. So, get to it. There was a development over in Panther Valley for 18 homes to go in. It's a little project that backs up to the road in front. I'll pull up the number for that right now. Sorry. Not yet.
Is it public consent planning commission?
Yeah,
Yes, LPC 26-00069.
thank you. Yeah, I was there, so yeah. So it's 18 like manufactured homes or pre-bad homes that are going to little triangle shaped wedge in there. It's a really good infill project for that area, kind of. There are some other similar projects in there. There's another newer one that's gonna back up to as well. And it's not official yet, but that might be kind of the last project we can do in that area until we get some additional capacity coming in Panther Valley. And again, that's just unofficially, but there is, one access point in and out of that area. So 18 homes is not such a large number that it was prohibitive, but I don't think there'll be much more coming to that area. There's also a project on North Hills. You got that one memorized too?
I think so, but the testing contest.
No, it's town. So this is another infill project. It's gonna be, if it gets approved, it will be on North Hills Boulevard between the vet animal clinic and the 395 on North Hills. They're townhomes and there's 20 of them, so it's not like a huge project again. And they are needing space to accommodate the road widening that will eventually happen at North Hills Boulevard as well. I don't know if they submitted the plans to the NAB, if they're available on.
Yes, if you went, if you go to the May 19th meeting, you'll see the presentation. So you can also look at the presentation from last night's.
Yeah, the planning commission. So another smaller infill project. And then there's also, we're having our council break. We had a council meeting today where we signed off on the candidates and amendments, which is essentially just saying, yes, we accept that the primary election results have been, completed. So you will be out of official council until I believe it's the third week of July, and on back-to-back council meetings. We'll still have our NAB. Council's on break, so it'll be the third Thursday in July as usual. Let me just double check here too. I know I have a lot of stuff on here, but it's just difficult to read some of the trains getting through. It's important. Clear Acre Master Plan zoning amendments. There is a affordable housing project that's going in off of Clear Acre that also is going to back up kind of to the 395 just north of North McCarran. And this is a project that's going to have several different types of units, like larger buildings with multi-floors and smaller ones, kind of probably similar to property stuff. And there will also be an addition to the Reno Housing Authority project right over just a little ways down the road from us here. They're redoing the clubhouse there. The city of Reno has sold that parcel to the Reno Housing Authority. They've been essentially just leasing it from us for a long period of time. It can get no cost really, but they purchased it from us and apparently do club. Really great little community there to get into all of the Reno Housing Authority projects in Ward 4, and they all do a good job of building a sense of family space and community development there, especially with the clubhouses and stuff. It's good for the kids, but last meeting, he needs notes to apologize. Oh, there is a pilot program the city is trying out right now where we have a temporary exception for live entertainment downtown. So the type of permitting will need has gotten like a kind of a pause on it to see how things go. It's being required different types of permitting. I think it kind of started during COVID with the cabaret license and things like that. So we're kind of trying some things out to see that's more business friendly to some small establishments downtown. So sorry. Yeah, council break, next council meeting is July 22nd. Planning commission is going to be 7/1 and 7/15. There is a 4th of July parade that's happening in the city of Reno. Not sure who all signed up to be in the parade, but it was open for anybody to enter. So any kind of social clubs, anything. City of Reno obviously participated in the parade as well. There's also several other events happening in town area, the downtown area on 4th of July. So a lot of stuff going on if you're interested in celebrating 4th of July. And the rest is specific zoning map changes like from SF3 to suburban mixed use. I'm not gonna read through all of that right now. I apologize. Traffic kind of threw me off a little bit getting here tonight, but the developments that we missed at last NAB are all available on Reno.gov for last NAB for planning commission last night. And also the planning commission's meetings are on YouTube. They're available to watch, so watch them. They're available there. But I'm really happy for that infill project and very little spot for the person. Yeah. Unless anyone has any questions, that's it for my update. Sorry, it was not great, but also so happy to be started the military road widening project. I know it's a lot of growing, but I know I'm going to hear about it from a lot of people, but we just got to keep it together, and I appreciate that we're going to have much better access through there and save sidewalks and traffic lights to break up the flow of traffic there so people can get in safe. So thank you for all your work on that, y'all, and thanks for driving out here tonight. Now, okay.
We'll move on to agenda item D. If anyone has any board commission committee member reports, announcements, and discussion of future agenda items.
I would just like, I would just like to see like maybe RP or fire department, maybe the library. They're doing, especially summer programs. I know with their budget. Oh, she's fine.
Just back off that, we have a new chief of police at RPD and we are working on how to have updates. I requested that we have now updates like we used to with the stats. I don't know if we will get to have that same format, but that's what I've requested because I think it's very helpful for us to see actual numbers, be able to ask law enforcement about specific things. Because there is so much misinformation that goes out on social media, so it's great to help us have real data, be able to ask officers, what's really going on. Fire department is supposed to come and give an update. They're supposed to come still twice a year at least. And I'll find out about the library. That's a different thing because they're a county and I don't know what's going on with their budget, but find out about that. Would you just like activities or big picture? What kind of?
A little bit of everything. I mean,
Okay.
if they start coming at a quarterly even, meeting with us, what's going on. Okay, have some feedback.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you. Quiet tonight. Yes.
So a public comment or no question?
Yep, go for it.
I apologize. So Jared South for the record, just to clarify what you're talking about, the North Hills Townhomes project just got presented last night to planning commission because we did not have a map last month.
Yeah,
That is mapped for 336 townhomes and
I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of the one on Sky Vista. I'm sorry.
No, it's the 300 one.
Okay.
so, and then when I look at that, it says 948 parking spots.
Yeah.
And the Buck Hill, the North Hills, they didn't widen it correctly when they did the road improvements a few years back. They're going to do that in the next few years. If you look at the added traffic, if that charge school already gets built there by Alice Smith, it's very hard to see that density come to that road when it's already backs up all the way for traffic going to North Valley High School
Yeah.
and things like that. I know RTC's trying their hardest, but it's not good enough.
Yeah.
So that's my thought about this project.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I got it mixed up with that project that's going in by the Walmart on Sky Vista. It's a smaller amount.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. It could be more faster with the structure. Having Kelly on that board is helpful. We do have council members on RTC board who really make the final decision on who gets what resources. So if you're able to submit public comment to them as well, it would be very helpful. And it has not come to city council yet. So just so you know, it's an app because we didn't have quorum and went to planning commission last night. It has not come to council yet. So talk with me about it more, and then also that's why I have RTC come so regularly because we need to remind them. Oh yeah, for sure.
I would say if you have a chance to watch the meeting from last night, there was an extensive discussion about traffic. So if you watch that and still have questions, I would reach out to the applicant's representative.
Thank you.
I think that just in regard to board process, I know that changed a little bit just because there has been some confusion in the past. So Callie is going to be reaching out to get the quorum, and then if you don't respond, then I'll contact you directly either with a phone call or a text. So that way there isn't any kind of overlap. So
I'll add that I sent out quarterly quorum checks, so you should have received that earlier this week.
right, that's what we agreed on.
Yes,
I just want to make sure that this.
Yes, so you've got the dates for July, August, September, so you should have that email in your inbox. Take a look. If you're able to let me know if you're there, that way you're getting those reminders. So when you see those happen already, let me know if they're gonna be here, and that way I can ready. I'll see you. Shoot.
How many vacancies do we have for those who are able and willing to be on the board?
We currently have 5 members, so a total of 11 regular members and 2 alternates. So there are, there are 8 vacancies. Yes,
And that's including alternates?
yeah, yes, okay, 8 vacancies including alternates. Smaller, 6 regular members, 2 alternates.
Yeah.
Two of the people who are here to care.
Tell your friends.
I've been,
Like it a social hour.
been putting it out there, just letting everybody know.
It's so hard to get here though.
Yeah. I mean,
It's 6 o'clock.
yes, it's still great to have people like say, oh, like it's.
Worked out great.
I work at home.
I would say.
My dog like you, so someone no idea what we're talking about. They literally don't leave my house unless it's just to my gym or like.
The disc golf, I got that pickleball.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to say that.
No, it's
It's
okay.
okay.
If you ever think you can't make it in Zoom or in person, just join on Zoom. That'll, as long as we can have a good conversation with members on Zoom as well. Are there any more reports, announcements, or discussion of intrusion? We can move on to final public comment. I do not have any forms. We do not have anyone online with their hand raised. So with that, we can move to adjournment. Can I get a motion?
So your motion to adjourn.
Second.
Right, go a second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned in 8:29.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.